In a rare show of bipartisan support, the House unanimously passed new legislation this month to raise awareness about the health dangers from military burn pits. Those are massive open-air disposal sites in Iraq and Afghanistan where garbage was doused in fuel and then burned, creating clouds of toxic fumes. The debris included everything from computer parts to insecticide. Thousands of veterans say their exposure to burn pits left them with respiratory illness and cancer. The Department of Defense says there's not enough scientific evidence to link burn pits to long-term illness, but admit the smoke can cause short-term health problems. The new legislation, which is called the Burn Pit Registry Enhancement Bill, would allow family members to report a veteran's death if there's a possible connection to burn pit exposure. Bonnie Carroll served 31 years in the military. She's a Presidential Medal of Freedom winner and the founder of TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, which supports people who are dealing with the death of a military family member. And Colleen Bowman's husband died after an 18-month battle with cancer. He'd been exposed to burn pits while he was deployed in Iraq. It's nice to have you both with us. Colleen, I'm going to start with you. Explain to us a little bit more about the burn pits. How close were they to the service members?
For Rob, his burn pit was less than a half a mile from where they slept at night, their sleeping quarters. They were all in different places. Some were small, some were big.
And burning constantly?
Burning constantly.
Interesting. And so when he was diagnosed, I understand that the doctors told Rob that they were stunned. I mean, this was a really, really rare form of cancer, right?
This was. And his doctor was smart enough to know right away that this was not genetics, this was caused from the environment. And they ran a test to try to identify the gene that caused it, and it was not there, it was a mutation.
Which is essential, of course, in this whole debate about what caused his cancer.
Right. He went for a second opinion down at MD Anderson in Houston, and we went through genetic counseling, and they came up with the same. They said this was not genetics, this was environmental.
Bonnie, this has been called the Agent Orange of our generation, which is terrible because it took 50 years before people really began to take seriously the impact of Agent Orange.
Yes, it has, and we're seeing such a dramatic increase in the number of families coming to us. TAPS is there for all those grieving the death of a military loved one, including those who are out of the military, who are recent veterans, who are in the Guard and Reserve and not on a duty status. So we're seeing even a larger population and families who may not be connecting the cancer death of their loved one with their military service.
How many service members are they guessing are dealing with this issue?
Well, according to VA, 3.5 million service members have been potentially exposed to burn pits. At TAPS, we're projecting in the year 2020 that our intake of loss will surpass suicide by 2020.
So you think by next year there'll be more veterans' death by illness than by suicide, which is a shocking number already.
Yes.
So there's this registry now, which I guess is a first step, but feels to me like a small step. How does the registry work? So
it started in 2014. Since 2014, I think April was the month, until now, 170,000 have registered. So you cannot register deceased service members, so I can't go on and register Rob. They go in, they answer the questions. Were you near burn pits? Were you exposed to burn pits? It's about a 40-minute survey that they do, and the information is with the VA.
The VA has said that there's no evidence that these burn pits cause any kind of long-term risk or long-term health problems, which is sort of what they said about Agent Orange, too. How concerned are you with a statement like that from the VA?
Well, we are working with the VA very closely now, and it is becoming a priority. We're looking at the work that's being done in New York with the first responders after 9/11, and also the firefighters and inhalation
But those are both
injuries.
Examples of people who've been left behind.
Yeah.
I mean, who really, far too late before people said, wow, this is a priority, this is important. And we've seen already a large number of disability claims rejected when people would apply for disability around the burn pit issue.
When I think back to when Rob was diagnosed in 2011, nobody was talking about it. It was like they had the deer in the headlight look, you know, and now here we are in 2019, and we're talking about it now.
What's the future of this? Where does this go now?
Well, we're very, very grateful to Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan, who is looking at really state-of-the-art incinerators that will take care of the problem going forward.
Do you feel like you've become a voice for an issue that's a very challenging issue?
I do. Before Rob died, the silver lining in having the 18 months before he died was conversations and the expectations he had of me, and to share his story, to make sure that people heard that his story and the voices of the soldiers that are following behind him.
You guys talked about that?
We did.
What did you?
He said, if this is how God is going to take me, I want to be the pioneer of this. It was, in my opinion, it was his last gift of leadership that he gave his men.
And here you are, carrying that along. Colleen Bowman and Bonnie Carroll, thank you for coming in to talk about this issue. Appreciate it.